This video tutorial will cover buying, sizing, and preparing images for your website, most likely for your blog posts. It's critical that you size images for your website and prepare them in a certain way. Otherwise, if you start getting too many large format file size images on your website, it'll definitely slow down how quickly your website loads. Within your content management system, on the page where you add your blog, it actually tells you how big you should make your images and what the file size should be at its maximum. For the most part, all blog post images are between 300 and 325 pixels. If you made your image 315 pixels square, that would be very safe. Obviously, you would need to have an account with one of the many stock photo houses. We prefer ThinkStock, but there's dozens of options to choose from. We're going to go through ThinkStock for our tutorial and show you how this works. We've already logged in, and what we're going to do is just search for an image using the search bar. And we're going to pick this one. You'll see the photo comes in multiple sizes. For the most part, you would only need the web version. Most blog photos are between 300 and 325 pixels square. So this is always a safe bet. You can see that this one is 500 by 338. So we're going to download the image. And it will land on your desktop or wherever your computer is set up to put photos that you download. Could be in your documents folder, a downloads folder, wherever. Ours happens to land on our desktop. Okay, so we're going to get out of ThinkStock and into sizing our photos. As I mentioned, our photos get downloaded to our desktop. So we start there, and the photo is right here. We use Photoshop for sizing our images, and if you don't have that, you can always buy Photoshop Elements, which is a $100 version of Photoshop. There are also online tools that can be used for free to resize images, but we don't have any experience with those, so we really can't walk you through that. So let's start with Photoshop. Take our image and drag it into Photoshop, and it pops up here. Of course, you can crop in on any portion of an image, but we're going to use the entire height. So we start under the image drop-down menu, go to image size, and make our height 325 pixels. You'll see the width is still 488, and we do want a square photo, but we're going to start with the height being 325. The next step in making the image a square is to go to the image drop-down menu, go to canvas size, and a window will come up that will let us make our image square. If your measurements are in inches, be sure to toggle to pixels, and you'll see there's the 325 pixel height we just made. Let's assume we just want to crop in evenly from the sides. Our image is going to be in the middle. We're going to change our width to 325. Click OK. Then click Proceed, because we know we're going to be cropping off some of the image. And there's our square image. And now that we have that, what we want to do is save it for the web. We do that by going to the pull-down menu under File and toggle to the Save for Web and Devices. Click there, and a window comes up that shows you different quality levels for the image. Controlling the quality happens all up in this area here, and since we do this all the time, by default our quality level is set as 66. But let's see what the difference is. This first image here is the original image at 300K, which of course would be way too big to upload to your website because you want a maximum of 50 to 60K. The second image here shows it's a 66 quality at 27K, which is really perfect for a blog post. And if you look at the quality between these two photos, there really isn't that much of a difference. Keep your setting to JPEG, that's critical. The quality can be between 55 and 66. And if it looks good, go ahead and click Save. And a window comes up that lets you name your image. Now, since we are total nerds when it comes to naming images, we have this entire naming convention we adhere to. And we think it's a good idea for you to follow this as well, because when you have dozens or hundreds of images for your blog posts on your website, you really need to keep them organized and named well. So here's what we suggest. Instead of just using the default image number as the name of the image, is to keep the image number as part of the name. So our suggestion is, if this is a blog post about liposuction, is to start with the section this falls under, and then the name of the procedure. The benefit of this is if you have 10 blog posts about liposuction down the road, while they would all start with the same beginning section name and procedure name, they would all have a different number associated with it. The other advantage is, say you like this image and want to use it in a print piece or an ad down the road. By having the original file number associated with the image, you could easily go back and search for this image by number to buy a larger version of it for your print piece or your ad. Another important item when it comes to the naming convention is not to have any spaces between the words or the numbers. That's an important element when it comes to uploading images to the content management system. Another thing which we do is keep all the type lowercase. It just makes it look nicer when you have an entire list of hundreds of images. So go ahead, click Save, and when you do, the original image will appear on your desktop, and you can tell it's the original image because it only has the number as the name. When you close that file, make sure you click Don't Save. That way, you'll have the original uncropped image should you need it down the road, as well as the newly named and newly cropped image for your blog post. Our suggestion is to have two folders, one for all your cropped, renamed blog post images, and another labeled original files for the original images that have not been cropped or renamed. It will just make it easier to find those respective images down the road when you need to. That covers the purchasing and preparing images portion of this tutorial.